Hello everyone, this is your host Todd Baker, here to present the brand new Granite Football League. And for the first stream of the GFL, I think I'm just gonna go around and introduce the teams and do all that good stuff. To the standings, we can see the International Conference and the National Conference down here. And we're going to start with the North Division in the International Conference. And first up is going to be the Michigan Rhinos. Now, there are no Rhinos in Michigan, but Rhinos are cool. Michigan looks pretty cool. You put them together, and there you go. Got a team. It's whatever. They made it up. It works. It's cool. And they got a pretty good logo, too. So that's alright. Next up is a really interesting one. Lake Petersburg. He. It's literally laughing. It's not even a name. Now everyone's wondered, what is the point of their name? Because it's not even a name. That's not a name. They're just laughing. What does that have to do with anything? Well, no one knows. But they did it, and they're sticking with it. It was almost like a joke. It's almost like they're not really taking it seriously. But they stuck with it. They like it. They feel attached to it. And they're just going to ride with it. There's nothing you can do about it now. Unless, I don't know, maybe they ever rebrand eventually, which we'll see if they do. Obviously, they got a laughing duck as their mascot. So, there you go. And next up, we have Oakland, the OGs. Now, this is another pretty interesting team, kind of, I guess. They're called the OGs, which, I mean, it's pretty cool. They like to pride themselves on almost feeling like the first. Were they the first? No, they were not the first. But they like to almost think that they are the best and work like the best, which is a great mindset for this sport. They actually used to be from Brooksville, but Brooksville, the OGs, didn't really roll off the tongue very well. So they relocated to Oakland. And while Oakland, the OGs, doesn't really still roll off the tongue super well, it does better than Brooksville. So, but they've been a very successful team, and we'll get into the team success later on, but right now we're just introducing the teams. And so, yeah, Oakland, the OGs, they like to try and be the best, and there you have it. And finally, for the North Division, rounding it all off, another really interesting team, Ocean City Russian Raps. Now again, Russian Raps almost doesn't really feel like much a team name. It's kind of just like saying something. But this team likes to pride themselves on that kind of work ethic. You know, when you think of Russia, you think tough, grit, whatever. And they like to use that idea to fight and be tough in this league. Because you got to be tough in football. And they're going to pride themselves on that. And they want to be tough. So, and then they're from Ocean City. I don't really know. They just picked a fun city to live in. And yeah, that's just how it's going to be. And they're going to continue it the way they are. Now moving on to the South Division. And honestly, personally, no bias, it might be the best team ever. Aside from, you know, all the history we'll get into. There's totally no bias in this, but to start off the South, you've got the Albuquerque Becauses. Now, again, another weird one, almost like that's not a name, Becauses. What is that? This team actually has a lot of history. They aren't just a football team. No, they're everywhere. They started out in this weird lacrosse, hockey, soccer shootout style sport. And they made themselves and went into that. They were pretty good at it. Had another rival, essentially, that we'll get into pretty soon here. But they are old, I guess. You can say they're old. But really, they've just been around for a little bit longer. And they've been pretty decently successful in other sports. But this is football. And they're going to stick here. And yes, again, going back to their name, the Becauses, yes, it's a weird name, and you wonder why they picked that, but it's because, there you have it. They picked it because they could. That's kind of the whole point of their name. They can do whatever they want because, and they kind of just use that to their advantage. And so yeah, heard they're trying to make some changes at some point. Who knows? Anyways, move on to the next team. Now this is the team we're going to talk about. The Los Angeles, Texas Grassholes. Now when you think of Los Angeles, you're thinking California. No, no, no. This is the famous, amazing town of Los Angeles, Texas. With a population of roughly 400 people, it's a city no one ever thinks of, you know? It's the little brother. They think Los Angeles, they go to California, but no, this is from Texas. And basically they came here wanting to almost build up a city. It's a town. It's got 400 people. What is that? What are you doing? Well, they want to bring population to this town. They want to make this town popular and make it the better, greater Los Angeles. And then they also just are named the Grassholes because they just wanted to be different. They wanted to be a little unique, and I guess it worked. Now this is the rival I was talking about, though. This was the other lacrosse, soccer, hockey shootout style game that was before with the Becauses, and they were rivals. But the Becauses always got the better of them, and so historically and most other things, the Becauses are better than the Grassholes, and the Grassholes are never really that good. But we'll get into the history of this league pretty soon. Next up, we have another one that actually was a little related to all that, the Honolulu Crocodiles. Now this team is another interesting one. Crocodiles, again, I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. But it's fun. It rolls off the tongue pretty good. They got a pretty sick logo. Cool colors. They were kind of a part of that league with the Becauses and the Grassholes, but they joined in a little later, and so the rivalry's a little softer, but nothing major. But overall, this is a pretty cool team. They had a team manager before and kind of gave out on them. Their program struggled for a little bit, but they're rising back up. They fight here and there, so they're pretty decent. Next up, we've got, now this team is a little rude, I should say. It is the Santa Ana Cousins. They are quite literally trying to be the opposite of the Becauses. They have the opposite colors to them. The Becauses colors are blue, gold, and black. They do orange, purple, and white. They wanted to be the opposites. So they're in Mexico, Santa Ana, Mexico. Albuquerque are in New Mexico. So they really just want to try and be the opposite and try to be better, which I don't know how much it's really working out, but they go. They just go for it. And that is the South Division. Next up, we have the East Division, the last division in the International Conference. And first up is the Utah Bandits. This is, just another fun team, Utah Bandits. Finally, it kind of feels like a normal name. But, we don't discriminate against the names. They're fun, they're unique, and we like to keep that going. Utah Bandits is a bit more of a basic name, you could say, but it still works, it's still fun, it's still a team, it's got its identity. And they're going to stick with that. Pretty cool logo over there. Got the purple, brown, and red going on there, so that's really fun. Next up, another fun one is the Nashville Nightwings, a dragon team with the colors of gray, kind of like a light gray, dark gray, and black. Kind of similar colors there, here and there, but they work, they look cool. It's the Nightwings, kind of emphasizing night. And yeah, so this team's pretty cool. And yeah, if you're a fan of dragons, here you go. Next up, a pretty fun team as well. One of my personal favorite animals, the Grand Rapids Shoebits. Now this is another funny one because they're from Grand Rapids, which doesn't almost seem like much of a sports city, I guess. I mean, you think of the state of Michigan, and you're like, okay, what teams do they have outside of this league? Well, you got the really popular NFL with the Detroit Lions, who, have their moments, but then you also have the Red Wings, the Pistons, the Tigers, and then you think, what else do they got? Well, Grand Rapids has teams. They have the West Michigan Whitecaps, they have the Grand Rapids Griffins, But no, this is actually a football team. Yeah, I don't know how they really fit the stadium there, but they found a way. This is the Grand Rapids Shoebills, and they're going to use that to, I don't really know. They're just going to do something with it, and they're going to keep playing hard. And to round up this conference is the Dallas Panthers. Again, no Panthers in freaking Dallas, no Panthers in Texas, except for maybe zoos. But, you know, it is what it is. They wanted to be unique like everyone in this league. So it's the Dallas Panthers. There we go. And that is the International Conference. Now we're moving on to the National Conference. To start off with the North Division in the National Conference, we have the Yukon Yetis. Pretty cool one. Yetis are cool. Bigfoot's cool. Make them a football brand. There you go. Pretty cool. Next up, we have the Portland Vikings. Another fun team. Pretty cool logo over here. And, yeah, I have not much to say. I feel like it's kind of normal. And now you have the Salt Lake City Pythons. This one's pretty cool for me. I really like the logo. I like the colors. Salt Lake City, interesting place to be in. But hey, really getting around the country and trying to find things in cities that aren't really used as much. I mean, even you've got Ocean City, you got Lake Petersburg, you got Grand Rapids, which isn't made, you know, isn't really a big city for that kind of stuff. But, you know, you got these teams that are trying to go to these cities to just make their own identity and their own market and brand. And then to finish off the North Division in the National Conference, we have the San Antonio 89ers. I feel like they took some inspiration from some other teams, but you know, it's their own thing. They're trying to do their own thing, and we're gonna let them be. Now going to the South Division. First up, we have the Denver Eagles. You know, Denver's famous for having the Mile High Stadium in the NFL. And so what fits better than an Eagle? Even though they're not in that stadium and they're not related to that team, but they're in Denver and they're going to stick with it. Next up, we have the Tri-City Triceratops. Very nice name. Tri-City Triceratops. Fits really well. They're pretty cool. And yeah, just a cool name, cool team. Next up, we have the Kansas City Guards. Now, they actually are kind of rivals with the Grasshoppers, and I think we can get into more rivalries and everything later on. But yeah, the Kansas City Guards kind of made themselves and honestly became rivals with the Grasshoppers, not for any major reasons other than that they both kind of sucked. They were both terrible at certain points in times and were pretty much at the bottom of everything. And so people looked at them and were like, hey, these two teams suck. Who sucks more, basically? And that was kind of their rivalry. And I guess they've just lived with it. They've decided to embrace that, and they kind of continue. And to finish off the South Division, we have the Brooklyn Burgers. Oh, burgers are really nice food. They're really fun. Brooklyn, I'd say, is fitting for it. I mean, if you're a fan of food, there you go. And now, the last division in the league. And to start the last, we have the Delaware Tigers. A really small state, but a football team wants to bring some football to that small state. And there you have the Delaware Tigers. Next up, we have the Buffalo Musketeers. Kind of a fun one. Buffalo Musketeers. Yeah, I'd say it's just kind of fun. Next up, alright, now, I never remember exactly how to pronounce this. This is actually an international, this is a, out of country, yeah, it's international. What am I talking about? This is an international team. Now you may wonder why they're not in the international conference then. Well, I really don't know. But this isn't the first international team, and it's from Germany. I personally like to say Wisselwasser. It's not pronounced that. I don't remember how it's pronounced, but I pronounce it like that because it rolls with their name. They are the Wisselwasser Wizards. Really fun to say. Not how you say the city name, but it fits with their team name, and so I like to just say it like that. I think it's like Wisser, something like that. I don't know. I'm not German. So, there you go. Pretty cool logo. Wizards. They look angry. And finally, to finish off the league, we have the Philadelphia Pirates. They are pirates. And so that is the league. All the teams, all the divisions, both the conferences. Really, really fun. And you can go ahead and pick your team. I'm sure Lake Petersburg would really enjoy some fans, some friends. So go with them if you want. Or even just go with the Becauses for no other reason, just to like them. Go with the Guards. They look kind of ugly, but there you go. You can go with them. All these teams have some people they want. They want some new fans. They want some new stuff. And they're going to continue to compete. As you can see, though, up at the top, we're in the 2049 regular season. And so, this league has been around for a while. Are we in 2049? No, we are not. But shh, that doesn't have to matter. What matters is this league is going. And if we look at the history, we can see it's been going since 2025. But if we look at the league champions, we'll see the very first ever champion were the San Antonio 89ers, beating the Honolulu Crocodiles. Now this one was really fun, I'd have to say. Look at the playoff bracket. It was a 38-17 final score, kind of one-sided. Honolulu killed Brooksville in that conference championship game. Really close game on the other side. But they were your first ever league champs. Your second ever league champs were Brooksville, the OGs, who, as I said, rebranded to Oakland, or relocated to Oakland. But they ended up beating San Antonio, who tried to go back-to-back for the first ever league championships, but they did not. They fell short. And that honestly is a coming trend, I should say. The next year, ironically, I was not expecting this, Los Angeles, Texas Grassholes actually won the third ever championship. And you may think, well, I was just talking crap about them, saying when they were bad. Well, that wasn't football. Apparently, they like football. And so they're going to continue to be good, and they beat the 6-11 Denver Eagles. I don't know how they made it all the way to the final. They were an underdog, but they managed to, and they lost. But they tried. And then, obviously, in 2028, we see Brooksville made it there again, winning their second ever championship in 4 years. And look at that. They beat the San Antonio 89ers. Already feel like there's a rivalry going there. San Antonio has played Brooksville twice in the finals and has lost both times they've played them. Pretty painful, I'd have to say. Going up next, we have Yukon Yetis winning their first ever championship over Lake Petersburg. They're not terrible. They did make it to a championship pretty early on in this league. And next up, we have 2030 with Salt Lake City Pythons, the 9-8 team, the second ever 9-8 team to win the championship, and they actually beat Oakland, who were the first 9-8 team to win a championship. This was maybe the first or second year Oakland relocated. I think it might have been their first year they relocated, but they weren't able to do it in their new city, but they got really close. 2031, San Antonio makes it back, facing the 5-12 Grassholes. Do I know how they made it there? A little bit. Now, at this time, there were actually less teams in the league. If we go to history, I gotta go up here. If we go to history, team records, hide historical teams, we can see the seasons. We can see the Dallas Panthers and below joined only 11 seasons ago. They've only been around for 11 seasons. They are younger teams. They were newer teams. Obviously, they're win-loss record shows, they had a rough start. New teams are going to have rough starts in this, and so they did have a rough start. But, you know, they're new teams to this franchise, and so that to this league, and I think that can make things really fun. But as we can see, the Grassholes, actually one of the winningest teams in the league, made it there with a 5-12 record because there were less teams in the league. Obviously, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams to get added. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, it's 8. I counted one more. 8 teams to get added. And so there were 8 less teams in the league back then. So it was easier for a lower win team to make it all the way. And if we look at... Where are they? Yeah, they're there. If we look at the playoffs, we can see how they made it there. They actually faced their rival, the Becauses, who were 6-11, and they beat them by 6. Low-scoring game, but a close one. A really good game between rivals in the conference championship, and the Grassholes got the better of the Becauses. They were so close. The Becauses started as a 6th seed, killed the OGs, moved on, barely beat the Crocodiles, went on to lose to the Grassholes, and then the Grassholes went on to narrowly lose to the 89ers, 29-27 in a very close championship game. Not expected from a 5-12 team, but they tried to shock the world, and I'd say they still did, even though they didn't win. Moving on from that, though, we have Oakland going back-to-back. They beat Denver, and look at that again. San Antonio. San Antonio just can't get away from them. Every time they play them in the championship, they lose. And it hasn't changed. Really rough for them, but good for Oakland. 4 championships. That's insane. And the league hasn't been around for very long. 2034, we have Michigan beating UConn in the league championship. This is one of the few Michigan teams to finally win it. You know, you got the Detroit Lions, who are known for, not winning. And so this football team took it into their hands and beat UConn. Next up, we have Portland, another 9-8 team, 2035, beating Michigan. They tried to go back-to-back, but they weren't able to do it. 2036, Oakland, once again. Jeez. Oakland and San Antonio facing yet again. And yet again, Oakland gets the better of San Antonio. But the next year, San Antonio goes back-to-back. This time they win it, beating Michigan, who made it again, but once again were not able to win it. Next up, we have Denver beating Michigan yet again, trying to win it. And they just, once they won it the first time, it seems they're really struggling to try and win it more. Next up, Portland wins their 2nd ever championship over Albuquerque. Albuquerque finally made it after that one year they lost in the championship game to the Grassholes. They made it that year, but were not able to win, losing to a pretty good 15-2 Portland team. And then the next year, Denver and Michigan have a rematch. And Denver wins. Michigan once again losing the championship. This is not a good track record for them. They have 1 win to 4 losses in the final. That's rough. But, hey, at least they're making it there. Next up, we have 2041 Brooklyn making their first ever final appearance, and they actually defeated the Grassholes in their 2nd ever loss in the championship. Grassholes have been there 3 times, have won it once, lost it twice. 2042 Oakland beats Tri-City in their first ever league appearance, but were not able to win. Oakland winning their 6th ever title. And then the next year they go back to back, beating Denver in their 3rd ever loss. In their 3rd ever loss, Oakland gets their 7th ever championship, and that is insane. But then look at this: the 6th seed Dallas Panthers beat the 6th seed UConn Yetis in 2044. And this is significant because Dallas is one of those early teams. They're one of the younger teams. Only 11 seasons at this point, or not at this point, right now, 2049 season. This was 2044, 5 seasons ago. And they won pretty quickly. Pretty impressive. they definitely did not have as good of a team as the others, going 9-8, almost barely above 500. They struggled, but they actually managed to win pretty quick in their new franchise. The next year, Tri-City defeats Grand Rapids. Tri-City winning their first ever, Grand Rapids losing their first ever appearance. The next year, Honolulu plays San Antonio, and they actually beat them. As we know, first ever, San Antonio beats Honolulu. So, hey. And then we got Dallas winning again in 2047, beating Philadelphia. They win their second ever title, and this is impressive. There's teams that have been here longer than them that have not won it or even appeared. So Dallas winning 2 in 4 seasons is pretty impressive. And now to look at this, and they go back to back. If we look, the only ever team that has gone back to back is Oakland. And they've done it multiple times. They did it 2032, 2033, and then they did it 2042, 2043. And they've also just won 7 titles alone. But Dallas becoming the second ever team to go back to back. And that finishes off the league champ history. And now we are in the 2049 season. So that's going to do it for this introductory video, this introductory stream of the brand new Granite Football League. I'm Todd Baker, and I'm signing off, and I'll see you in another video.